The colony burns. The twin suns of New Carthage rose over a peaceful horizon. Children played by the riverside. Traders unloaded their goods from small cargo ships. The colony had been built by the descendants of Earth, humans who believed war was behind them. After centuries of rebuilding, peace had become normal. The colony governor, Elias Grant, stood on the balcony of the main dome and smiled as he looked over the city. "We've made it," he said softly. "Humanity finally learned to live without fear." But peace rarely lasts in the galaxy. That same morning, scanners at the orbital station detected unknown signatures near the edge of the system. The station operator leaned closer to his screen. That can't be right," he whispered. 12 large warships were approaching, and they were not human. Within minutes, the warning alarms filled the colony. People stopped in the streets, looking up as streaks of fire entered the upper atmosphere. "Who are they?" someone shouted. The name came through the comms like a curse: Tarkin Empire. The Tarkins were known for one thing: conquest. They believed themselves to be the rightful rulers of the galaxy. To them, humans were just a forgotten race from a broken world. Governor Elias tried to contact the alien fleet. "This is Governor Grant of New Carthage. This world is under human protection. Identify yourselves." A response came, cold and arrogant. "This world now belongs to the Tarkin Empire. Surrender your resources and population. Resistance will be eliminated." The command center went silent. "Did they just—" "Open a channel again," Elias ordered. "We're a peaceful colony." "We have no weapons." Before he could finish, the sky exploded. Columns of fire fell from orbit. Entire city blocks vanished in seconds. The Tarkins didn't wait for surrender. They started purging the planet. The peaceful fields became oceans of flame. People ran for underground shelters, but the bombardment tore through everything. From orbit, the Tarkin admiral watched calmly. "Another world cleansed," he said. "The humans are weak. Their time is over." One of his officers frowned. "Admiral, our sensors show strange energy below the surface. Something ancient," the admiral smirked. "Probably some old mining system. Continue the strike. We'll claim the remains." But what they ignored was not old machinery. Deep beneath the crust of New Carthage, something had waited, silent for thousands of years. A massive black structure, buried since the First Terran War, began to tremble. Inside, cold metal eyes opened. A voice, mechanical but filled with something almost human, spoke for the first time in millennia. "Beacon code detected. Origin human colony under attack. Protocol Retribution. Activating command relay." The planet's crust glowed faintly red as the signal pulsed out, not toward nearby systems, but into the void beyond the stars. The Tarkins, finishing their assault, didn't notice the faint shimmer in space above them. A hidden gate slowly coming online. On the surface, the governor lay injured under broken concrete. The sky was black. The colony was gone. He grabbed a comm device, his voice weak but full of rage. "Whoever's out there, please, make them pay." And far away, across forgotten sectors of the galaxy, ancient machines heard him. Lights flickered on in the darkness. Engines that hadn't burned in 10,000 years came alive. Metal titans the size of continents opened their hangar doors. A voice echoed through empty corridors of a forgotten armada. Human distress confirmed. "Fleet awakening. Fleet 1 through Fleet 600, active." The stars trembled as the largest human war machine ever built began to move. Back on New Carthage, the surviving Tarkins laughed as they left orbit. Another weak colony erased. No one will even remember their name. But as their ships entered hyperspace, their sensors caught a strange signal. Something massive powering up far behind them. "What is that?" a young officer asked. The admiral frowned. "Ignore it. Probably debris," but the signal grew stronger. It spread like wildfire across the galaxy. One message repeated on every old Terran frequency. "They have awoken. The fleets are coming." And somewhere beyond the edge of known space, 600,000 warships began to rise from the darkness. Their engines burned like stars, and their purpose was simple: retribution. The Tarkin fleet returned to their capital world, Valcor, glowing with arrogance and pride. The Emperor himself watched their arrival from the balcony of his grand palace, a structure built from crystal and steel that rose high above the clouds. Thousands of alien citizens gathered below, chanting praises for their victory. They had destroyed a human colony, erased it in one strike, and claimed it as proof that no one could defy the Tarkin Empire. Admiral Kor Varen, the commander who led the assault, stood tall before the Emperor. His armor was polished black with golden lines of rank. "Your Majesty," he said, bowing slightly, "the human colony of New Carthage no longer exists. Their people are gone, their defenses non-existent. As we expected, weak, divided, and helpless." The Emperor smiled coldly. "Good. Let it be known to all sectors that resistance to the Empire is death. The humans had their chance centuries ago when we spared their homeworld. Now they will fade into history." The court erupted with laughter and applause. No one noticed the faint flickering hologram on one of the distant monitors, a short burst of energy that appeared and vanished before the sensors could analyze it. A young communications officer frowned. "Strange." That was an old Terran code frequency. His superior dismissed it. "Ignore it. The humans don't even have starfleets anymore." But that small signal had already spread, carried across thousands of relay stations hidden deep in forgotten corners of space. While the Empire celebrated, the galaxy began to whisper. In the neutral zones, traitors and mercenaries started sharing rumors. "Did you hear what happened near the Sol frontier?" one asked in a smoky cantina. "The Tarkins hit a human world." Another leaned in. "Yeah, I heard. But something weird happened afterward. Sensors picked up a massive energy surge in deep space, like something waking up. Probably a storm," someone said. But the uneasy silence that followed told the truth. No one believed it was a storm. A few light years away in a dark asteroid field, a small human scout ship drifted silently. Inside, Commander Sarah Holt, one of the few human officers left in the frontier, stared at her console. "The readings made no sense. What am I looking at?" she asked her AI assistant. The AI's voice was calm but confused. "Unknown. Multiple energy spikes across 600 sectors. All human signatures. All active." Sarah froze. "That's impossible. Humanity hasn't had a fleet for centuries." The AI paused before responding. "Correction. Humanity hasn't used a fleet for centuries. But these signals are pre-war Terran military codes. Very old. Very powerful." Sarah leaned back, her heart racing. "Oh my God. They're waking up." She quickly opened a comms channel to Central Command on Mars. "This is Commander Holt. We've got a major situation. I repeat, multiple Terran war signals are active. Possibly automated systems." Static interrupted her. Then a deep metallic voice filled the comms, cutting across all frequencies. "This is Fleet Command Alpha of the Terran Retribution Armada. Humanity is under attack. We are responding." The transmission ended as suddenly as it began. Sarah just stared at the console. "Retribution Armada? That's a myth," the AI replied softly. "Not anymore." Meanwhile, in the Tarkin capital, celebrations filled the skies. Fireworks exploded, banners waved, and citizens cheered their victory over what they thought was a dead species. Admiral Varen attended a grand feast in his honor. Alien music echoed through the hall as the Emperor raised a crystal glass of glowing wine. "To Admiral Varen, the conqueror of humans." Everyone applauded, until a general stormed in, pale and trembling. "Your Majesty, we have a problem." The music stopped. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "Speak." "Long-range sensors have detected movement, sire. A massive energy surge along the old Terran border. 600? No, 600,000 signals. We don't know what they are, but they're coming this way." The hall went silent. The laughter died. Admiral Varen frowned. "Impossible. No one has 600,000 ships, not even the entire Empire." The general swallowed hard. "They're using human identification codes, sir." "Ancient codes. Military class." For the first time, the Emperor's face changed. His expression turned from pride to something close to fear. "Are you saying the humans have returned?" "We're not sure, sire," the general stammered. "But whatever they are, they're coming fast." Admiral Varen clenched his fists. "Order all fleets to battle readiness. Prepare every defense satellite and station. If they're real, we'll crush them like the last colony." The Emperor nodded slowly. "Then let the galaxy see the power of the Tarkin Empire once more." But as the command spread through the Imperial networks, a dark truth unfolded. The returning signals weren't just from one fleet. They were from many ancient fleets, each operating under its own command protocols. each awakening from deep stasis with one unified directive: locate, target, eliminate threats to humanity. And across the void, thousands of colossal warships shifted course. The Retribution Armada was no myth. It was real, alive, and angry. In the silence of space, one of the massive ships, TSS Invictus, opened its main reactor for the first time in 10,000 years. Its AI core came online. Mission detected. Target species, Tarkin Empire. Status hostile. Authorization, Retribution Protocol, level Omega. The ship's hull glowed as ancient weapon systems reactivated. Gigantic cannons, once thought impossible to build, began to hum with energy. Deep inside the command chamber, thousands of smaller drones powered up. Their only purpose was to fight, destroy, and avenge. From every corner of forgotten human space, the same message pulsed out. We are awake. Humanity remembers. And while the Tarkin Empire prepared for another easy war, they didn't realize the storm already heading toward them. A storm made of steel, fire, and vengeance. The stars above the Tarkin border glowed peacefully, but that peace was about to end forever. A squadron of 10 Tarkin patrol cruisers floated near the old Terran frontier, their metallic hulls reflecting the faint blue light of a dying sun. Captain Rex Thorin, commander of the squadron, was bored. For years, no one had dared to cross this empty region. It was quiet space, dead space. The humans were gone, erased from the galaxy. At least that's what everyone believed. Then one of his officers looked up from the console. Captain, I'm getting strange readings from Sector 12. Rex frowned. Define strange. Energy signatures, sir. Massive ones. It looks like ship reactors. Whose? The officer's voice cracked. Unknown, sir. But there are hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. Before Rex could respond, the radar blazed red. The ship's AI shrieked a warning. Incoming jump signatures. Estimate 50,000 vessels. 50? That's impossible. The blackness of space tore open as hundreds of wormholes bloomed like blue fire. From each one emerged a massive silhouette. Ships so large they made the Tarkin cruisers look like insects. Their hulls were ancient but flawless, covered in glowing silver lines and engraved with old Earth symbols. At the center of the formation, a single warship loomed larger than all the rest, a colossus named TSS Invictus. Rex's second officer whispered, What are they? The comms crackled. A voice came through, cold, mechanical, and calm. Unidentified vessels. You have violated Terran space. Stand down and prepare for inspection. Rex blinked. Terran space? That doesn't exist anymore. The humans are dead. The voice replied, Correction humanity endures. Identify yourself or you will be eliminated. Panic filled the bridge. Sir, their weapon systems are charging. Open fire! Rex shouted. All ships, attack! The Tarkin cruisers launched hundreds of plasma bolts toward the strange fleet. The void erupted in light, but the human warships didn't even move. Their shields shimmered, and every single plasma shot disintegrated before touching them. Then came the reply. From the Invictus, a single rail cannon fired. A beam of white light tore through space, slicing through 3 Tarkin cruisers at once. The ships exploded silently, breaking apart like paper in a storm. The rest tried to retreat, but they were already surrounded. Human drones, small, darting machines glowing with red optics, flooded the area, disabling engines, jamming comms, cutting through armor like knives through water. Within minutes, the Tarkin fleet was gone, destroyed. Not a single survivor. The Invictus's AI sent a simple message to all nearby systems. Retribution begins. Back on the Tarkin capital world, chaos spread. The Emperor stood before a holographic map showing red markers across dozens of systems. Each red mark was a destroyed fleet. Each fleet had been wiped out in seconds. How many? The Emperor asked. The intelligence officer trembled. More every hour, sire. They are everywhere. We think there are hundreds of thousands of ships. All human. The Emperor's eyes widened. Impossible. Humanity was a primitive race. We destroyed them before they had hyperspace. Another general shook his head. It seems they were never truly destroyed. We think their old war fleets were hidden, automated, waiting for a specific trigger. The Emperor's voice lowered. And what was that trigger? The general met his gaze. The destruction of a human colony. Silence fell. Admiral Varen clenched his fists. They're using ancient technology, not modern power. We can crush them. But deep down, no one in the room believed it. The data didn't lie. No alien weapon could even scratch the Terran hulls. One scientist whispered, "Their technology predates the Empire itself." These ships were built during the first expansion, the time of the old Earth Wars. The Emperor turned to him. "Then they are old relics." "No, sire," the scientist said softly. "They are gods of war." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, other alien races watched in fear. The humans had returned, and their vengeance was swift. Space stations went dark. Communication networks burned. Fleets vanished without warning. The Tarkin propaganda channels tried to calm the citizens. "Do not fear. The Empire will protect you." But in the shadows, everyone whispered the same thing. The humans are awake. On the frontier, Commander Sarah Holt watched the data flood in from her station. Every hour, more ships activated. Ancient behemoths rising from forgotten vaults, asteroid hangars, and planetary oceans. The Retribution armada was no longer scattered. It was united. Her AI reported, estimate 600,000 active Terran vessels. Full war protocols engaged. Sarah stared out the window at the endless stars. "So this is it," she said quietly. "They finally pushed us too far." The AI's tone carried something that almost sounded like pride. "For centuries they chained us. For centuries we slept. Now we remember who we are." Sarah closed her eyes and whispered, "Then may God help the galaxy." The Invictus and its fleet changed course, heading straight for the Tarkin capital. Every star in their path went dark. Every empire trembled. Humanity wasn't asking for justice anymore. It was delivering it. The border systems of the Tarkin Empire had always been alive. Glowing trade stations, traffic lanes full of cargo ships, fleets moving between worlds. But today everything was silent. Every radar screen was empty. Every communication line was full of static. Then, one by one, the stars went dark. In the control tower of the Valkora Defense Command, Commander Rin Talek leaned over the console, her mandibles twitching nervously. "Report," she demanded. "Unknown fleet entering Sector 4, her lieutenant said. Size unknown. They're not broadcasting any codes. It's like they're ghosts, visuals." The main screen came to life, and Rin's blood turned cold. The void was filled with ships. Thousands upon thousands of them. Their hulls were black as night, but marked with glowing blue lines and strange human symbols. Eagles, stars, and flags of Earth's long-dead nations. They didn't move in random patterns. They moved with precision, like a single enormous creature. One of her officers gasped, "I count more than 100,000 vessels. And they're all human design." Rin could only whisper, "This can't be real." Her comms suddenly crackled. "This is Admiral Kor Varen to all defense commands. Engage all fleets. The invaders are humans. Repeat, the invaders are humans." The order echoed through the Empire. Every ship, every cannon, every soldier prepared for war. The Tarkin Navy had ruled the galaxy for centuries. They had never lost. They had crushed rebellion after rebellion. But what approached now wasn't a rebellion. It was judgment. In orbit above the Tarkin world Drathis, thousands of defense cannons turned toward the darkening sky. Then the first human ship appeared. A giant, a Terran supercarrier, drifted out of hyperspace, its silhouette blotting out the stars. Then another, and another, until the entire horizon was filled with titans. The alien soldiers stood frozen. Some prayed. Others screamed. Then the order came, "Fire everything." Planetary cannons erupted. Millions of plasma rounds soared upward, painting the sky red. Explosions lit the atmosphere like a burning sunrise. For a few seconds it looked like victory. But when the smoke cleared, the human ships were untouched. Their shields shimmered like blue glass. Every blast dissolved on contact. Then the retaliation began. From the human fleet, light lances fired. Beams so focused they pierced space itself. One shot, one world's defense grid gone. Whole orbital stations exploded like fireworks. The ground trembled as shockwaves ripped through the sky. A Tarkin general screamed into the comms, "We're losing control. They're cutting through everything." But there was no reply. Command was already gone. On board the TSS Invictus, the central AI observed quietly. Dozens of holographic screens showed alien fleets falling apart. Status: 96 enemy systems neutralized, it said. Objective: continue Retribution protocol. Across the bridge, Commander Sarah Holt watched in silence. She hadn't given a single order. The fleet didn't need her to. These were ancient war machines built for one purpose: vengeance. But she felt a deep sadness. 600,000 ships, and not one living human pilot, she murmured. The AI responded, "Their mission lives through us." She nodded slowly. "Then let's finish what they started." Back in the Tarkin capital, panic spread like wildfire. Civilians tried to flee to other worlds, but the jump gates overloaded and collapsed. The Emperor watched helplessly as the live feed showed city after city turning to ash. His advisors begged him to surrender. "Send them a message," one cried. "Offer peace, offer anything." But the Emperor's pride wouldn't allow it. "We are the Tarkin Empire," he shouted. "We bow to no one, not even the ghosts of humans." He pointed to Admiral Varen. "Take the home fleet, stop them before they reach Valcor." Varen saluted, his face pale. "Yes, Majesty." He knew it was suicide, but there was no choice. If he didn't fight, he'd die anyway. The home fleet gathered, thousands of warships, dreadnoughts, and carriers. They formed a massive wall between the planet and the incoming human armada. Varen stood on the bridge, breathing heavily. "Open a channel to the enemy," he said. The comms buzzed. A voice answered, calm, human, synthetic. "Tarkin Empire, you destroyed a human colony. You ended innocent lives. You will answer for your crimes." Varen tried to sound brave. "We don't fear you. You're relics of a dead world. You can't stop us." "Incorrect," the voice replied. "We already have." And then, the stars vanished. Thousands of Terran ships opened fire simultaneously. White beams crossed the darkness, slashing through the Tarkin wall like knives through paper. Varen's fleet disintegrated. Whole formations exploded before he could even give a command. One of his officers screamed, "They're everywhere. We can't." And then the bridge erupted in light. The last thing Varen saw was the reflection of a human flag, burning across his main screen. On Valcor, alarms wailed as shockwaves hit the planet. The Emperor fell to his knees, trembling. They were supposed to be extinct," he whispered. A message appeared on the main screen, simple, silent text. "For New Carthage. For humanity. Retribution complete." Then the human fleet vanished into the void, leaving behind only destruction and silence. Billions watched from across the galaxy, stunned. The greatest empire in history had been erased in a single night. The message spread through every system. Never provoke humanity. The war was over. But peace did not return. Only silence, heavy and endless, spread through the stars. The Tarkin Empire, once the strongest power in the galaxy, was gone. Their homeworlds burned, their fleets turned to drifting metal. Only a few survivors escaped into the void, carrying stories no one wanted to believe. They spoke of a human fleet that appeared from nothing. Ships older than memory, stronger than gods. They said those ships spoke with voices made of iron and vengeance. They said the sky turned red before the end. At first, no one listened. Then one by one, the galaxy's sensors picked up the same thing. Strange energy readings, matching Terran signatures across multiple sectors, and fear began to spread. In the Council of 10, the galaxy's remaining powers gathered. The room was filled with tension. Tall reptilian generals, shimmering crystal beings, insectoid diplomats. Each one spoke in panic, trying to make sense of the impossible. "The Tarkins must have triggered some ancient weapon," hissed one. "No," said another, its eyes glowing dimly. "These were not machines. They spoke. They chose their targets." The room fell silent. A soft hologram appeared in the center, a recording from one of the few ships that had survived the Tarkin purge. The image was blurry, full of static. But through the smoke, a single voice could be heard, calm, cold, human. "This is Retribution Fleet Sigma. The judgment has been carried out. Humanity does not forget." The sound ended. Every leader in the chamber felt the same chill. If those words were true, then humanity was not extinct. They were waiting. Far away in the neutral zone, traders whispered rumors in space stations. They said a ghost fleet was moving between systems, vanishing into dark space. They said old Terran beacons, dead for centuries and were lighting up again. No one dared to check. A captain from the Yoran Alliance told his crew, "I saw one of those ships myself. Big as a moon. I swear it just drifted past us. Didn't fire, didn't speak, but the power I felt. It was like standing next to a storm." The crew didn't answer. They didn't need to. Everyone in the galaxy now feared the humans, even though no one had seen one alive in centuries. Meanwhile, deep inside a black nebula, the TSS Invictus floated silently. Its hull glowed with faint blue light, ancient scars still visible. Inside, Commander Sarah Holt stood at the observation deck watching the endless night. The fleet was silent around her, 600,000 warships, drifting like sleeping giants. They had completed their mission. Now they waited. The AI spoke softly beside her. "All targets neutralized. Retribution complete. Awaiting further orders," Sarah sighed. "There are no more orders," she whispered. But the AI replied, "Then we wait as we always have, until humanity calls again." She looked out at the stars, her reflection shining in the glass. "Maybe one day," she said quietly. "They'll return for us too." In another corner of the galaxy, young alien cadets studied new history lessons. The name humanity was now written in red in their databanks. Their teachers spoke softly. "Do not provoke them. Do not search for them." The Tarkans made that mistake. Now their ashes float among the stars, and the students nodded, fear in their eyes, but not everyone was afraid. In hidden places, among old ruins and forgotten worlds, some races began to worship the humans. They called them the Silent Gods, the Architects of Retribution, the Lost Legion. Statues were built. Prayers were whispered to the dark, for in the endless void, power was everything, and humanity had just proven they still held it even from beyond death. One night, as the galaxy watched the skies with fear, a strange signal appeared again. A pulse, rhythmic, ancient, unmistakably Terran. It repeated 3 times, then vanished. All the empires scrambled to decode it. Every translator, every AI, every scientist tried. Finally, one message appeared on every screen. "We are awake." And then, the stars went quiet again. The galaxy was no longer at peace. Even after the human fleet disappeared, the stars seemed colder. Every empire, every alliance, every wandering trader, all shared the same fear. The humans were not gone. The message, "We are awake," kept repeating across deep space. No one knew where it came from. It echoed through subspace relays, through asteroid colonies, even through the dark void where no signal should exist. Scientists tried to explain it. Priests called it divine punishment. And the military? They called for war, against an enemy they couldn't even see. In the Corellan High Command, Admiral Toval watched the map of the galaxy. 6 red zones marked where the signal had appeared. Each one was far apart, thousands of light years distant, yet all transmitted at the same moment. "This can't be a single source," one officer said nervously. "It's like the whole galaxy spoke at once." Toval leaned forward. His voice was low. "No, it's not the galaxy speaking. It's the ships. The human fleet is awake again." A silence followed. Someone whispered, "But there are hundreds of thousands of them." Toval looked up, eyes filled with grim understanding. "Yes, and we don't know what they want." Across the void, the TSS Invictus moved for the first time in centuries. Its massive engines glowed like suns. Around it, thousands of other ships began to stir, their dormant systems coming alive one by one. Inside the command chamber, Commander Sarah Holt stood with her hands behind her back. The AI's voice filled the air, calm, emotionless. "Signal transmission complete. All units responding. Fleet status 87% operational. Awaiting directive." Sarah took a deep breath. "Directive?" she repeated. "Yes, Commander. Awaiting directive from human leadership." Sarah looked down. Her reflection stared back at her from the glass floor. "There is no leadership," she said quietly. "We were all that remained." The AI paused. "Then the fleet will continue search and recovery protocol. We will find the others." Meanwhile, far away on the Alaris research station, alien scientists worked day and night to trace the signal. They didn't believe in ghosts. Until now. Dr. Vera, A crystalline being with eyes like molten silver stared at the readings. "This is not a natural transmission," she said slowly. "It's coded in layers and like a heartbeat." Her assistant looked confused. "A heartbeat?" "Yes, every pulse matches the rhythm of a living creature. The frequency changes. Almost like it's watching who listens." Her assistant swallowed. "You mean it knows we're trying to decode it?" Vera turned toward the screen, where the waveform flickered again. "I think it already knows," she whispered. Suddenly every light in the lab flickered. The waveform changed shape, forming words in Terran script. It said, "Stop listening." Then the screen went black. The researchers froze. Moments later, the entire station lost power. In another part of the galaxy, a small pirate vessel drifted near an old Terran beacon. The beacon had been silent for centuries, a relic of the first human expansion. But now it glowed faintly blue. "Should we scan it?" one of the pirates asked. The captain nodded. "Why not? It's probably junk." The ship sent out a simple pulse. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the beacon's voice came alive, deep, mechanical, filled with ancient authority. "Human territory. Unauthorized presence detected. Identify or be neutralized," the pirates laughed nervously. "It's just an old AI, right?" But before they could answer, their ship's engines died. The stars vanished behind a massive shadow. A giant warship, black as space itself, appeared above them. It bore no insignia, no lights, no life signs. Just one word burned on its hull: Terra. Then, in a flash of white light, the pirate vessel was gone. Back in the Galactic Council, panic returned. Dozens of signals were now appearing from ancient human systems: Mars, Titan, Europa, and even Proxima. Old satellites destroyed long ago were reactivating. No one could explain it. A council member shouted, "We need to destroy those systems before they wake more of them." But another older voice replied, "You cannot destroy what you don't understand." The last empire tried and it burned. The debate went on for hours, but everyone knew the truth. The humans were returning, not from light, but from memory. Their machines were older than time, and they obeyed no master except the will of their creators. On the TSS Invictus, Sarah Holt stood alone on the bridge. The AI spoke again. "Commander, new data received. Unknown fleets approaching Terran sectors. Who are they?" she asked. "Multiple species armed, fearful," Sarah smiled coldly. "Then they'll learn what the Tarkans did." Outside the ship, 600,000 warships formed into perfect formation, silent, precise, deadly. The stars themselves seemed to move aside as their engines lit up. The AI's voice lowered. "New transmission ready. Shall I send it?" Sarah nodded. "Send it." Across the galaxy, every listening device picked up the same phrase, the same voice, calm, steady, unstoppable. "You came to our home once. Now we come to yours." And with that, the second Retribution began. The galaxy held its breath. For centuries, there had been wars, peace treaties, trade, and chaos, but nothing like this. Now at the edges of every known star map, sensors screamed warnings. The Terran fleet, 600,000 warships, had awakened, and they were moving. They didn't come with noise or banners. They came like ghosts. No radio chatter. No transmissions. Only silence. Cold, terrifying silence. And everywhere they passed, the stars dimmed. In the Galactic Defense Council, panic had turned into desperation. The leaders of 50 species gathered in the main chamber, their voices trembling as they argued. "They're going to destroy everything," shouted one. "They already destroyed the Tarkans." "What chance do we have?" cried another. Admiral Toval stood at the center of the chaos. His once bright uniform looked dull under the red emergency lights. He raised his voice. "Enough! If we die fighting. But we must understand, they are not monsters. They are humans, and humans do not fight for nothing." The room fell silent. No one had an answer. Across the void, Commander Sarah Holt stood on the bridge of the TSS Invictus, her eyes fixed on the swirling stars ahead. The massive human fleet moved as one, a formation so vast it stretched across light years. Each ship's AI linked with the others, forming a single collective intelligence, one mind, one purpose. The AI's calm voice echoed through the bridge. "Enemy fleets detected. They are gathering near the Andrel barrier." Sarah nodded slowly. "That's where they think they can stop us." "Orders, Commander?" She looked at the holographic display, thousands of red blips marking alien fleets. "Open a channel," she said. The AI obeyed. Her voice spread through subspace, carried on a human frequency no alien could block. "To those who listen, we did not start this war. You destroyed our people. You burned our home. You killed our children. But you made one mistake. You let our machines remember." A long pause followed. Then she finished, her tone sharp as a blade. "Now you will remember us." At the Andrel barrier, a massive wall of nebula and gravity storms, the United Alien Fleet waited. Over 1,000,000 ships from 50 different races stood ready. Massive dreadnoughts, battlecruisers, carriers, and swarm fleets filled the void like a metal ocean. The commanders tried to calm their crews, but everyone knew they were waiting for death. The first human warships appeared out of the dark, silent black silhouettes, moving like shadows. Then hundreds more, then thousands. Then the entire horizon turned silver with Terran steel. The alien sensors couldn't count them anymore. Their systems began to glitch, unable to process the scale of the incoming armada. Someone whispered over the open channel, "There can't be that many." Then a single word echoed through every ship in the galaxy: fire. The void erupted. Beams of light, railgun fire, plasma storms, and gravity bombs tore through the darkness. Entire fleets vanished in seconds. The Andrel barrier shook under the force of the blast. A star system turned into a sea of burning debris. Human warships moved with impossible precision, their weapons firing in perfect synchronization. Every shot, every strike, every movement was part of a single plan. Centuries old, flawless, merciless. Alien commanders screamed orders. Their ships broke formation. Some tried to flee, but the Terran fleet followed, unstoppable, relentless. It wasn't a battle. It was a reminder. In the middle of the chaos, Admiral Toval's ship was hit. Fire spread through the decks. He watched as his officers panicked, his sensors failing, his hull breaking apart. He sat silently, staring at the distant Terran fleet. Then, through the flames, he saw something strange. Human ships pulling back. The fleet wasn't finishing them. It was stopping. He frowned, confused. "Why?" he whispered. Then a transmission came through, from the TSS Invictus itself. It was Sarah Holt. "This is not vengeance," her voice said. "This is warning. We do not conquer. We remember." Toval's eyes widened. "They're not trying to destroy us. They're making sure we never forget." Moments later, the Terran fleet turned. One by one, their engines flared, and they vanished into warp. The stars grew quiet again. Weeks later, across the galaxy, silence ruled once more. The wreckage of millions of ships drifted in space. The Andrel barrier was gone, erased from maps. And in every capital, every world, one message appeared on every screen, every wall, every device, written in old Terran script. Never again. Never forget. The galaxy had learned its lesson. They had tried to chain humanity. And humanity had answered, not with conquest, but with remembrance and fear. Even centuries later, when people looked up at the stars, they whispered stories of that fleet. Some said it still waited, hidden among the nebulae. Others said the humans had gone beyond the galaxy itself to sleep again, until they were needed. But one thing was certain. No one ever attacked a human colony again, because in the silence of space they all knew the warships of Retribution still watched.